Although Word produces elegant and professional documents, word processing remains its core, and that means type. However, the days of using plain Times New Roman 12-point type are gone, and now we can enhance our documents through type. In fact, we're almost required to do it because our audiences are demanding. Whether we're writing for family members, classmates, coworkers, or customers, the content has to be visually appealing as well as effectively communicate the messages. One way to do this is by using the rich set of typography tools that Word offers. I want to make my text a little more exciting without having to do full Word art or using graphics. I'm in my document, and I'll close the navigation pane so I have more room. I'll scroll down to the copy of my logo that's followed by our company's address. It should be at the bottom of page 7. What I notice is that that's part of the logo, and I'll click on that to show you that that's a whole picture and has some stylized text. Below it, though, our address, email address, and website are plain text. I go to the Home tab and find that it happens to be Arial 12-point. What if I want to jazz this up a little? For Office lets me do that a lot more easily than before because it's the same as adding bold or italics. There are some keyboard shortcuts, but if I wanted to do it via the ribbon, I could just click on bold, italics, or underline. A little bit further to the right in the ribbon, there's a new feature for adding text effects. With single clicks, we can add things like shadows, bevels, glows, and reflections to the text, just like we do to our images. I'll click this to see the gallery, and we can see a variety of things. Again, if you pause over it, you'll see a live preview of that. If I choose this one, that's kind of in the third row, third one over from the right, gradient fill with gray and outline. That looks like the text that's already in my logo, so I'll click that. Now, even though I've applied that, I don't have to stick with the presets. If, for example, I want to take off the bolding, I can turn that off. So all of the formatting features still work the same, but with one click, I stylized this text using a text effect by using the new feature. Word 2010 also supports a feature called Open Type Features, and I want to show you where to find that. In order to do this, I can't use the ribbon. I actually have to access the dialog box launcher for formatting fonts. If you haven't done it for a while, here's a test question. When I go to the ribbon and I have all of these tools, if I'm not seeing something, how do I see the dialog box that used to be from Format Font? The answer is to click the lower right corner of the group. I'll click on that, bring up the dialog, and go to the Advanced tab. Here is an entire section, in addition to regular character spacing, called Open Type Features. Open Type is a cross-platform format for scalable computer fonts, and it's the merger of TrueType fonts and PostScript fonts that you may have heard of before. These have been popular for forever, and through a joint effort by Microsoft and Adobe, they built this new format. It was built on the TrueType relationship, using TrueType's basic structure, but then it added several intricate little structures that we can have for specific types of typography. You'll see here that this gets into some detail. There are ligatures, number spacing, number forms, stylistic sets, and we can even use contextual alternatives, and it will provide a preview. I teach a 2-day course on typography, and we spend a lot of time with this. Needless to say, I can't teach you that much background in the time and space we have here, and I know that a majority of people don't want to know that much about this, but I wanted to mention that it is an enhancement available for those who are interested. I've also put a PDF that details some of these features on my website, www.pckeys.com/cbt/word for office.htm. You also can find a link for that in the Chapter 4 folder. So, even though we're not going into all of the details about this, now you know where it is. I'll cancel out of the dialog, and I'll show you one more thing. I'll scroll up into my document back to page 2, where we have a table for delivery methods. There are actually two tables, one for delivery methods and one for ILT, or instructor-led delivery models. We know that enhancing text and adding images to documents makes it more exciting for the people who read them. However, we have to remember the opposite is true for people with visual disabilities. Too many graphical features become a detriment for them. So we can actually enhance that by using a new feature, or maybe I should say an enhancement to an existing feature. We've always been able to add alternate text to images in the last few versions. Now, though, we can add alternate text to tables as well. In order to show you that, I'll select the table and bring up the table properties. You can do that a couple of different ways. I'll right-click and go to Table Properties at the bottom of the shortcut menu. You'll notice that now we have an additional tab to the table, Row, Column, and Cell tabs. The new one is at the very end, called Alt Text or Alternate Text. I'll click this and put in the title, which is called Training Delivery Methods. In addition to just the simple text, I can also put in a description. I might type, "This table explains or defines the different types of delivery methods for computer training." Now that I've done a little bit of typing, I want you to notice where it gives us the explanation for alternate text. In addition to including the help for people with disabilities, it mentions other things as well. Web browsers display alternative text while tables are loading. Now this is a very simple table, so it shouldn't take any time to load. But if it were more complex and had several rows and columns, then the alternate text would display while we're waiting. We can also see that web search engines sometimes use the alternate text to help find stuff. So when search engines come in and they find a whole table, they don't want to index every entry in that table. But in this case, they'll be able to index it, or people will be able to find this document by searching for things like training or delivery methods or training methods. I think you get the idea. So, you should be making alternative text for your images and your tables a standard part of your document design. It's not only important for people with disabilities, but if you're putting things out for the public and you're putting things on the internet, you get different benefits and advantages for your document. Primarily, that people can use it and find it by entering just a few sentences. I'll click OK, and that's all there is to it. We went into Properties, we typed in a title, and we typed in a description. I realize that all of these aren't the most exciting things that you can do on your computer, but between alternative text, open type features, and text effects, we have 3 new ways or 3 new tools that we can work with text in our documents to make them more accessible, more enjoyable, and more effective.